We've been very cautious for a very long period of time on China, but we have to recognize that there's the fiscal effort is now really gaining momentum there. So when you think about portfolios, you have to think about downside risk and also upside risk. So China is an area where we're taking more tactical bets. We're expecting a lot of announcements coming through from various parts of the central government for over the next sort of few months. That should help lift asset prices.
So you're saying China equities long, but with downside protection. In other words, interestingly, you're still looking at China tactically as a trade, not as an investment.
Yes, and that's for the very simple reality that housing prices in China are still falling. So you have a negative household wealth effect that pulls back consumption and overall sentiment. That's a very, very difficult challenge to address. And there were, of course, the news of recapitalization of banks in China. That is definitely a step in the right direction. I think what we want to see is a stabilization of house prices in China, maybe even increase, and then the narrative changes. And then you can talk about structural long-only trades.
Let me push back against that, Stefan. To be honest, right, you're not the only one or the first one to say that, look, maybe what they need to do is juice housing prices. But, if the problem is oversupply, et cetera, don't they actually need home prices to fall even more to a point at which they can finally clear?
Yes, that's one way to look at it, but I would rather look at it from the perspective of there's just a supply glut. I think there's about 737 million square meters of available real estate. Housing starts in China, okay, this is a big bit of good news, are coming down, but they're still out there. There's still an expansion of the supply glut. So that's really something that we want to see. Maybe, for example, the idea of a bad bank that goes out there and really aggressively buys up and takes that stuff off the market. That would certainly help as well. Now, you're right, lower prices at some point become compelling, but it's been going on for a long time now, and the consumer that is quite conservative in China sort of, I think, really puts a challenge to that narrative.